On average, you'll have to wait 31 days to see an OBGYN. And if you're dealing with an infection or outbreak, you know you need care fast. That's where Wisp comes in. Connect with a U.S. licensed provider online and pick up safe, effective treatment at your local pharmacy that same day. Plus, get birth control and more delivered in all 50 states. Take control with comprehensive sexual and reproductive care, all from your phone. Wisp. That's hellowisp.com. The waiting room can wait.
This feels like the longest sunrise. You know, this whole episode isn't about endings, and it's not even about breakthroughs. It's about what it feels like to be deep inside a transition that just keeps unfolding, not in a dramatic way, not at all in a chaotic way, but in a slow, steady, and holy way. You're listening to Make Some Noise Podcast, episode number 685.
Welcome to Make Some Noise Podcast, your guide for strategies, tools, and insight to empower yourself. I'm your host, Andrea Owen, global speaker, entrepreneur, life coach since 2007, and author of 3 books that have been translated into 18 languages and are available in 22 countries. Each week, I'll bring you a guest or a lesson that will help you maximize unshakable confidence, master resilience, and make some noise in your life. You ready? Let's go.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I am so glad that you're here. Happy summer. I hope that you are well as the world burns here in 2025. And I just am wishing you so much compassion and rest and peace, and also whatever it needs to be in your life in order to work for some changes in this country and beyond. Are you with me? All right. Based on my episode that I dropped last week on my experience in ayahuasca ceremonies at Rhythmia in Costa Rica, I've got a pretty decent list. I'm so excited that there's a group of you who is interested in coming with me when I go again to Costa Rica. I'm working out the details with the wonderful people at Rhythmia. So if you want in on this, there are limited spaces as I go, but I can surely bring a second group. So if you feel called in your heart, then DM me on Instagram. I'm at Hey Andrea Owen over there. And all you have to say is Aya, AYA, interested. You can say more if you want. You're certainly allowed. But if you're in a hurry, AYA interested, and I will put you on the list. This doesn't obligate you in any way. It just means that I will reach out to you personally to let you know when details are solidified and to see if maybe you want to come. I can't wait. It was such a profound experience. If you missed it, it was the episode just before this one, episode number 684. And as I've mentioned before, I'm going into more detail on a private podcast series that I have that is specifically around my experiences with psychedelic therapy. So that's over at andreaowen.com/journey, because I'm not going to be going into great detail here on this podcast. That episode was just more of an overview, but I do go into detail, and it is wild what I'm experiencing in both ketamine therapy so far as well as ayahuasca. So again, you can email us, support@andreaowen.com, letting us know that you're interested, or DM me on Instagram at Hey Andrea Owen. I also have a couple of openings this summer and this fall for my one-on-one program that I am calling Devotion. It's all about coming home to yourself. You can read a little more about it, andreaowen.com/you, YOU. I'm taking a select few people through it this year. I'm already well underway with a handful of women, and it is the most amazing, beautiful, deep, integrated one-on-one work that I have ever done. So head on over there to get more information. Speaking of integration, that is kind of the topic that I'm going to talk to you about today. I'm at a place in my life where maybe I'm just, getting a little bit older, starting to slow down in the best way. I have not kept it a secret that over the last few years, I have gone through quite a transition. I was thinking about it on my walk with my dog the other day, as I often do. I hope that you implement some kind of movement into your life that allows you to have these moments where your brain waves slow down just enough to where you have these aha moments and things like that. But I was on a walk with my dog and I was thinking about this transition that I've been in for quite a few years now. It feels like I've gone through transitions before, but it feels like the longest one I've been in. I'm on year 5 of this transition. Over the last handful of months, especially since I got back from Costa Rica, from Rhythmia, is I keep feeling, when will this stuck feeling go away? When will I feel clear and like I'm on the other side of the transition? I'm journaling, like I have all these amazing breakthroughs and aha moments, and I'm incredibly grateful for them. I wouldn't want it any other way in that regard. And at the same time, when is the payoff going to happen with all these aha moments and all this learning that I'm doing? I feel like I've transitioned internally. So now I'm ready to transition externally. One of the major things that has come from this transition is that I unexpectedly found love. It's very obvious to me that even though it was unexpected, even though I wasn't specifically out looking for someone, a committed partner, I'm very clear that it happened because I was in a different place mentally, emotionally, spiritually than I was years ago. So that part is interesting. So I'm over here really specifically thinking about other areas of my life where I would love to see some changes, some shifts, and I just feel like it's not happening. So I did what I do, and I sat down at my computer, or sometimes I sit down with my journal, and I wrote about it. You guys know I love metaphors. I love learning in metaphors. I love teaching in metaphors. I love thinking, having my own internal learnings with metaphors. The metaphor that I came up with as I was on that walk was, this feels like the longest sunrise. You know, this whole episode isn't about endings, and it's not even about breakthroughs. It's about what it feels like to be deep inside a transition that just keeps unfolding, not in a dramatic way, not at all in a chaotic way, but in a slow, steady, and holy way. So a little bit of the backstory. And if you want to read, I wrote a Facebook post on it that really sort of started my thinking about it and got a great conversation started because a lot of people commented. I got a lot of comments on that one that they could relate. It's a public post, so I'll link to it in my show notes if you want to read it. And basically where it started was 2020. You all know what happened in 2020. You were there too. It happened to you too. The pandemic happened, and it was sort of the pulling of the trigger, if you will, in terms of my own transition. I didn't know it yet though. 2021 marked, late 2020 actually, early 2021 marked some physical symptoms that started to show up that I've talked about before. And then medical gaslighting happened. But that's when my physical symptoms started to crop up. The middle of 2021 marked a fairly significant career fallout, and it just kind of went downhill from there because my anxiety was spiking. That was the year that I had some suicidal ideation. 2022, the beginning of 2022 marked both finally a medical diagnosis of Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune condition that I'd been living with for who knows how long. That was the answer to the physical symptoms. But it then took that entire year to find the right treatment for me. Also, marriage counseling in earnest started that year. By the end of, very, very end of 2022, first week of 2023, it was a mutual decision by me and my husband at the time that sadly, our marriage was over, that we had given it all we had, and it was time to close the book and say our goodbyes to each other. And then 2024 was the year I moved out of the house, started over for the first time, living alone for the first time. I do have my kids 50% of the time, but living alone essentially for the first time in 18 years. I thought surely when I moved into this house that I'm currently in recording this, that this would mark the beginning of the next phase, that this transition that I'd been feeling for the last handful of years would be done, and that I would have this receipt and be able to write about it from a place of redemption, from a place of look where I was and here I am now. And I just sort of felt like there would be this almost like a line of demarcation or this circumstance, this maybe one particular situation or circumstance that would happen where it would feel like, okay, I'm done. And I could look at, falling in love as that part. That happened in August of 2024, but no, although it was very real what I felt and very different from what I'm used to feeling, I still didn't feel like I was complete out of this transition, like quote unquote, on the other side. Then I turned 50, April 2025, and I'm still here recording this for you in July 2025. So the other day when I was on my walk, I thought, oh, okay, this is what our culture likes. Our culture, our world loves a kind of the clean arc of a story. We want the healing to look like a makeover montage. We want it to be story worthy. But what if sometimes healing is a long, quiet burn? What if healing or transition is a long, quiet burn? What if it's a long sunrise? And so here's what I started thinking about. One of the biggest takeaways from this transition is that I feel like I have come home to myself. This is what I wrote in the Facebook post. When everything that felt like home got burned to the ground, it was easier for me to hear her. And by her, I mean the sound of my own voice. And this is, when I talk about that, when I say that, it is slightly different from my intuition, which I know her well because I've ignored her many times in my life. This one is slightly different. And perhaps the way I can describe it is same voice, different flavor. Realizing that this is a voice that had been trying to talk to me for years about big things, about big sort of overarching things. For example, this is the same voice that tried to tell me I didn't need to push so hard in the beginning of my business, that it was okay for me to rest. I didn't believe her. That wasn't going to be for me. I didn't do it. This was also the voice that told me when I was a teenager that my rage was righteous, but I didn't believe her, and I pushed it down for decades. This was also the voice that told me to rest in late 2020, and I didn't believe her. I was like, no, that's not possible. I have to keep going. At any rate, when I was in Costa Rica during one of my ayahuasca ceremonies, I heard, this might sound weird, but if you've done ayahuasca before, you'll know. And if you ever end up doing ayahuasca, you will also know. The medicine speaks to you. And one of the things that she said was, you don't have to fight so much. It's okay to use flowers instead of fists. I was like, well, fuck me then. Okay. And I have a question for you on this, but I need to take a quick ad break first. And when we get back, I will ask you. Be right back. Did you know that when your metabolism is working properly, you feel it in every area of your life? Your energy, your focus, even your sleep. I found a tool that helps me understand what's going on in my body every day, and it's called Lumen. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It measures your metabolism through your breath. Yep, just one breath, and shows you whether you're burning fat or carbs. The app then gives you personalized guidance for nutrition, workout, sleep, and even stress management. You just breathe into it first thing in the morning, and then you've got real-time insight into how your body's doing. You can also use it before and after meals or workouts to stay on top of your health game. Your metabolism is your body's engine, and when it's running efficiently, you definitely feel the difference. Lumen even adjusts its recommendations based on your cycle or menopause stage, so your body stays supported through all the shifts. I've started using Lumen in the mornings to see how my sleep affects the way my body functions. On days I sleep well, I can literally see in real time how my body's working more efficiently. It's like a check-in with my body that actually gives me answers. The warmer months are coming. Spring back into your health and fitness. Go to lumen.me/noise to get 10% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/noise for 10% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode.
Breaking up is never easy, but saying goodbye to your old clunky work tools, well, that's easy. Just repeat after me. It's not me, it's definitely you, you rigid, unfriendly software. It's time to freshen things up with Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use. With stunning dashboards, customizable templates, and built-in AI that actually works, switching to a new work platform has never felt this good. So move on to Monday.com.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Visit USAA.com/bundle.
Bundle savings are off total premium, not available in all states or in all situations. To qualify, auto policy must be active prior to property policy issue, subject to change. Restrictions apply. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
Okay, we're back. My question for you, and this could be something to journal on, is to think about a time where your intuition, or whatever you want to call it, whatever flavor it is, where it whispered and you ignored her. And my specific question is, what would change if you believed her now? Would you make a certain decision? Would you change your behavior in any way? Would you change the way that you think about things, your beliefs, if you believed her now? I want to talk about this sort of like myth of a rival, using air quotes over here. It's that I thought I'd be done by now feeling. It's that stuckness feeling. And I think that we trick ourselves into thinking that if we hit a certain age or a milestone, or we feel like we've been going through transition for X amount of time, that things should be resolved, all caps, period. The way that it really works is sometimes it is the longest sunrise, and the resolutions are happening in little increments all along the way. And they're showing you clues all along the way. It's not some big monumental firework moment. And so how have you been waiting for the receipt moment, the actual cutoff point, proof that you're on the other side? And sometimes it is that way. Sometimes it is about making a decision on something or some kind of circumstance being done. I know, like divorce is one of those things when you receive the final paperwork, things like that. But what if it's not those things that are markers or mileposts, and instead it's a long sunrise? And what I wrote in my Facebook post was, this feels more like the longest sunrise: slow, steady, reliable, consistent, warm, familiar, and stunning. Because that is what healing often looks like. Whether it's a big, bright aha moment, or whether it is the longest sunrise, it is steady, reliable, consistent, warm, familiar, and stunning. When we heal, it often feels like we have been called home. We remember. And I hope that you get to experience that. Sometimes it's slow and sometimes it's quick. So what I've decided to do with this is sit down and take an inventory of all of the things that I've learned over the last 5 years, because there's been a lot. I told you I've been through transitions before. This one has been the most gutting. It has brought me to my knees over and over again, has made me excited, confused, terrified, incredibly grief-stricken. More on that later. All of the holy emotions that I talk about and all their friends. And so me taking inventory of my takeaways, the things that I've learned, the versions of myself that I have lovingly left behind and shed, that's what I'm going to do. And I hope that you can do that too if you ever feel like you're in the longest sunrise. So I'm going to read to you the last 3 paragraphs of my post before I close out. And before I do, again, I will post the link in the show notes to this post if you wanted to leave a comment on there. And just, I think the last thing that I want to say before I read this is, there's no pressure to rush your sunrise. That's the culture that we live in. We want it to be Instagrammable. And there's no pressure to rush your sunrise. It's not a race. It's actually a return. It's a return to who you are at your core. All right. Here's the last 2 paragraphs from my post. But the truth is, this feels more like the longest sunrise. Slow, steady, reliable, consistent, warm, familiar, and stunning. Made so much more beautiful because the sound of my own voice that I had shut down for so long is singing to me while I patiently and with reverence watch the longest sunrise of my life. Thank you for witnessing me and my words. I have a lot of them, and part of my long sunrise is letting them out again. I hope you get to a place where you have your own version of this. Love, Andrea. And remember, everyone, it's our life's journey to make ourselves better humans and our life's responsibility to make the world a better place. Bye for now. Hey everyone, thanks again for listening. I would be so incredibly grateful if you haven't done so already, if you could leave a review of this podcast on Apple Podcasts. Super easy if you already listen to your shows over there. But if you don't, or maybe you have the app on your phone, but you listen to the show on a different app, if you could leave a review for this show, it matters so much. I wish I could express how much it matters. I also wish that it didn't matter so much, but alas, it does. So if you haven't already, please go review and rate the show. It would mean so much to me. And thank you so much. I hope you have an amazing day.